Donald Trump, one of his strategies from the pressure that he's facing, this impeachment inquiry, is to attack the credibility of the whistleblower. He's been doing it, his defenders have been doing it, saying, how dare this whistleblower, this unaccountable whistleblower, imply that the president is trying to get foreign countries to investigate Joe Biden and his family. That argument is a little bit harder to make this morning considering what Donald Trump said during Chopper Talk.
Well, I would think that if they were honest about it, they'd start a major investigation into the Bidens. It's a very simple answer. They should investigate the Bidens, because how does a company that's newly formed, and all these companies, if you look at, and by the way, likewise, China should start an investigation into the Bidens, because what happened in China is just about as bad as what happened with Ukraine. So I would say that President Zelensky, if it were me, I would recommend that they start an investigation into the Bidens.
So that video from this morning, that was just Trump being Trump. If we had found out, let's say we weren't where we're at, none of the Ukraine stuff had happened. There was no whistleblower, there was no transcript or memo or whatever. We didn't have any of this. And we found out that on a call to the political leadership of China, he had mentioned investigating Biden. That would have been a scandal. He just did that on the lawn of the White House. God, what a weird world we live in. I saw something that was fascinating, and it was captioned, "Life comes at you fast sometimes," and it was NBC News. It was a shot of their website. The article was, Kevin McCarthy tells Pelosi to ditch impeachment inquiry because this whole thing is made up. He's not actually trying to pressure anybody. And at the top of the page was a breaking news bar of Trump tells China to investigate Biden. He just did it again. That response, by the way, was in response to what do you want Zelensky to do? So what do you want the president of Ukraine to do? He said, investigate Biden. Oh, and also China, investigate Biden. But what's perhaps even more fascinating and potentially damning for him is what happened right before that question. So in like a 1 minute period, he talked about China twice. You just saw the second time he talked about China, that China should launch an investigation of Joe Biden. Let's take a look at the first though and compare the two. This was tweeted out by Ryan Struck. Trump at 10:37, 24 a.m. talking about trade negotiations says, quote, "I have a lot of options on China, but if they don't do what we want, we have tremendous power." 30 seconds later, likewise, China should start an investigation into the Bidens. Is that as damning as "I want you to do me a favor" though? Perhaps not, but that's really close, butted up against each other. Like, I don't even know if you could fit the words quid pro quo between those two sentences where he's like, if China doesn't do what we want, we have tremendous power over them. China should investigate the Bidens. Again, like I keep saying, this is not a complicated story. It's an absurd story. It's surreal in many ways, Lovecraftian in some ways, but it's not a complicated story regardless of what Ainsley Earhart might tell you. He is putting pressure, economic pressure, military funding and equipment pressure on foreign powers to investigate his political opponents. That's all it is. And that is obviously illegal, but also goes against everything that our country is supposed to stand for. And as I've been saying over and over, we have to make a decision as a country, as each individual. Do we want to live in a country where the president is bound by the law, or do we believe that power is power, and if you have the White House, you can do whatever you want? Hey, he's my guy, I don't care what he does. A large percentage of the American public does actually believe that. A smaller percentage is ready to overthrow American democracy in defense of that president. That's what we talked about yesterday on the show. But the rest of us need to decide, where do we draw the line? Do we want a presidency that is bound by laws, or do we want just a king that, we hope that norms keep him in line? And if not, we had a good run. Democracy was interesting while we had it. That's the choice that faces us right now. And what you just saw, that ridiculous stuff, I mean, it begs the question, why is he so open about these things that he already knows have launched an impeachment inquiry? There are a lot of potential explanations. One is that he is literally the dumbest person in the country. If that is what you believe, there's a lot of evidence to buttress that position. There are other explanations too. I know Cenk Uygur was tweeting this morning that he really does appear to not have any fundamental idea of what is moral or immoral, legal or illegal. I don't know which of those is worse. If he's like ignorant of the law or doesn't care about what the law is. But regardless of which the explanation is, we can see what he's doing. Whatever he is believed to have done in regards to Ukraine, which you can literally read the transcript of, he's just doubled it by adding a far larger, more powerful country that he has been engaged in for a couple of years with really tense trade negotiations, strikebacks, tariffs, all of that. This is not a situation where you can say, well, yes, he's asking them to investigate Biden, but he's never shown a willingness to do harm to them if he doesn't get his way. That is virtually all he's done in regard to China in his time as president. And so it's hard to imagine that he would not put pressure on them to do more in this particular area. By the way, I love the juxtaposition between today and yesterday. Today, he goes on Chopper Talk, national TV, and says, I want Ukraine to investigate Biden, I want China to investigate Biden. Just yesterday, we showed you a poll result that shows that despite everything that we know, everything that we've seen, only 40% of Republicans, no, not that quite yet, that's embarrassing, and we'll get to it. Only 40% of Republicans think that he brought up Biden on that call, even though it's in the transcript. He's doing it on TV, he's shouting it at you. That's gonna be on Fox News, Shep Smith at the very least, if nothing else, and yet they just don't see it. In the video, by the way, one of the quotes he said in that video we showed you was, if it were me, I would investigate Biden. But like, dude, don't talk about it as if you're not involved in the situation. You've already told Zelensky that that's what you wanna do. You tried to make it you involved in this thing. And we don't have time to go through all of the ridiculous developments over the past day, the Adam Schiff weird conspiracy theories, not gonna bring up Nickelback beyond this statement right here because we shouldn't have to on a political news show in 2019. I will only say this, if you're a Trump defender, man, you really picked the wrong horse to back. Like the whole thing they've been saying is, you're exaggerating, he's not trying to get them to be investigated, and he just threw all of them. He took Giuliani and stacked Hannity on there and Mark Levin and all of them, and he just took them all and he just threw them all under a big bus. And they're gonna have to go, like take a couple hours, regroup and figure out what the new defense is and hope to get it out there before he sets that on fire too. Does he think this is a good strategy? I will leave you with this. He tweeted out again a Breitbart News poll, this time about Adam Schiff, that's their new target, this weird conspiracy theory involving Adam Schiff, shows that 98.4% believe that he should resign and be investigated. It is an online poll conducted by Breitbart. And he tweets it out because he thinks that it means something, or at the very least, he knows that his followers will think that it means something. And they will do that because they believe that belief is based on what you want to believe, not based on the evidence. And they've been trained over the past few years to believe crazy things about polling. And that's where we're at as a country. But you saw it right there. He just came out and admitted it. And we'll see what the Democrats do with it. Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.